Maglocks bite and the deck groans like a jaw under me. My left pauldron scrapes an arch of buckled brass and the sound runs back along the bones in my ear. My glove is slick. Oil? Other. The lumen strips fail and return in slow heartbeats, and the corridor ahead breathes, exhales frost and a flurry of torn parchment, inhales the blood musk we carry. The Vox whispers my name wrong and the mouth of the ship waits, black and close. An hour and the hour before it, and others laid over like plates. We move, bind, burn, break. We do not speak unless the throat insists. I thumb imprint the seal over the crackling glyph on the bulkhead and the paint lifts curling under glove. Brother Sergeant's hand lands on my elbow joint, a metronome impulse through the plating. Forward, ere the machine spirit of my suit hums obedience and nags over pressure on the left intercostal hydraulics, I silence it with a touch. The storm bolter on my forearm swallows hiccups, eats belt clean. I feed it another with practiced clacks. No space for thought. Wait, step, wait. There are 5 of us. There were 6 if I count the voice that no longer answers when we ask him to count. The Vox never gives us silence. It gives us airless hiss and a child's cooing tuned into a scream when the grav plate under us forgets which way is down. Brother Sev lugs the Prometheum unit and smells of it. His flamer nozzle is a tooth. Brother Apothecarian clicks his narthecium against mine in passing, a reassurance without words if there are such things. I take up the rear when chute shafts lean over us like wells. I take point when the floor is jagged and the tight spaces come. My gauntlet is a monastery of scars. We pass through a refectory fused into a cargo throat pews jammed nose to nose with pallet cranes, candled wax hardened into teeth on the edge of a bay hatch. There is a child's boot braced in the mouth of a reclamation grate, bone still within, the leather polished by moving air. I feel the weight of my foot hover over it and not settle. Brother Sergeant raises 2 fingers and angles them. We pivot and curl through a maintenance run, thigh plates grinding seams. A shrine to an engine is welded to the ceiling here and the saints hang upside down. Eyes track us. They are just paint flaking under my breath. My beads feed me the green of their lives. Rough edges. Sev's meter always overreads. Enorian's always low because he pinches his breath on the 8th count without knowing it. I could reach out and count his battles with my hand and be wrong. There is such distance between his shoulder and mine when we file single in the cableway that I could walk it and never close. The first chitter is behind the wall and above us by the second knuckle of my index finger's reach. A vibration brushes the power sleeve like a moth. Brother Sergeant stops. The stop runs through us and into the deck. He turns his helmet. He does not need to. We all mark it. The storm bolter sights through what we see and what we cannot and paints a tiny star. Left. He does not say it. He breathes it, and I pretend the Vox said it. We quarter. We open the door that does not want to open with the muzzle of Sev's flamer. The hinges cry. On the air inside is too cold and bites the wet. My heart's both slow. The things have been here. On the ceiling, 4 scored lines. On the weld lump by the shutter, the same. In the dust piled, a scuff between the scribe marks. Brother Sergeant puts his blade into that dust and lifts it, listening with his wrist. He nods and we move. A rusted ladder yawns into a pit stitched with pipes. Painters have been by. Hazard chevrons yellowed to the color of old teeth. I touch one as I lower into the shaft, not for faith, but because the idea of the lives that once worried at these edges and cut their palms on burrs makes the cold in my mouth less. The step groans but holds me. Sev comes after, link cable unfurling from his hip to the ring in my belt. In the drop, in the world is a long thin line of light and a long thin line of purpose, and both are mine. At the bend of the shaft, something sighs. The quills on the back of my mind lift. I go still. The world listens to me listen. Then the sound is gone, excused by old ductwork settling. Brothers below, breathing. Climbing is prayer sometimes. Down. Down again. Boot onto the lip of a vent mouth and we spill out into a promenade torn down to her ribs, banners caked into drifts, brass railings kinked like broken fingers. Open space makes my stomach lurch and my machine spirit flickers every warning at once. Beyond the far arches runs a black that is not corridor dark but honest. There is a star caught in it, hard as a grit in the tooth. The beacon we came for is supposed to live down here. It lives nowhere now. It pulses echo through walls that aren't sure where they are. It answers to our challenge by stuttering back a piece of an answer from a different day. We clear blind corners with fire. Sev breathes on a nest of webbing that glistens with scur and it curls like hair when it burns something under it twitches. I step there later, slow, and the sole of my boot finds nothing. There is a hole I cannot see in the floor and my boot leaves me and I am hanging on bone and broken prayer axe and the chain braids of penance, a pendant of too much weight. My cable jerks tight to Sev's belt and rips him forward onto his knee and the Prometheum tank rings like a church bell. Brother Sergeant's fist is on my forearm and he pulls. Bone in my socket grinds and taste of vinegar climbs my throat. Up, he does not say. I come up, and there is a notch chewed into the armor there now. I do not look into the hole again. We mark a door. The mark for later. The chalk breaks and I grind it under thumb and draw our numeral with bone white that flakes. We pass it. There is always later. The idea of it steps ahead of us to clear the way. We follow it. The Vox finds a voice then, not Brother Sergeant's, not any I would claim. It speaks one sound stretched across my ears and it is my name before I learn to wear the one the brothers gave me. It is the name my mother made with no witness and I cannot allow that in here. I slam my tongue into the roof of my mouth and let the teeth sit until the bone behind the eyes stops listening. Orion's gauntlet knocks mine, pulse. He is not for the voice. There are shapes at the edge of the atrium, a hunched into the shadow behind railings that should be too small to hide their mass. I put 3 bolts into that shadow. It coughs flesh, discovers it is elsewhere, slides along the wall, finds purchase in the spine of the bulkhead and is above us. We do not rush. We make circle. We make our bodies touch in a way that says we will hold whatever hits and send it back. Something comes down and fails to be on my shoulders for longer than it takes my trigger finger to think. Teeth get what the plates leave, not me. A tail like a whip tries to measure my throat's width. Metal returns its length to it in rings and bits. It moves like water pressed through a tighter and tighter ring until it cuts the shape it wants out of the resistance. The smell of its blood makes my chests hitch, not disgust, not hunger. It's a wanting I cannot name that makes my fist want to go through things forever. I make my hand open. I make it close. The machine spirit goes dark for a breath and chooses a different set of glyphs to tell me the same worry. Air quality, temperature. A warning about temporal drift it has no words for, so gives me a skull and an hourglass that don't live together. Keep close. Brother Sergeant speaks because he has to, because the darkness is too thick to part for gestures. Eyes up, I say, to give him something back. My voice sounds like I have stolen it. Then the path narrows to a spinal tunnel between a drop generator coil and the windowed spine of a gallery. We make ourselves smaller and this should not be possible for us. Ceramite scrapes paint. Paint makes marks like letters that no one reads anymore. My gauntlet scrabbles for purchase and finds an icon, cold and greasy, that hangs on a cord. I close my hand on it because it is here and because no one's hand should be the last to hold it. It makes no weight against my weight. I do not open my hand for 2 minutes that last a year. Brother Sergeant moves with the restraint of old machines. Orion hums to his own teeth. Sev whispers to the nozzle. Not yet. He tells it I believe him. The apothecarian carries the blade that is both knife and suction, and it ticks like an insect in sleep against his thigh. I love that sound. It says we still think of returning. We find the hall we wanted by mistake. A vault roof, now one wall, runs with glass windows full of dust rainbows. There is a brand burned into the far wall where the beacon's heat had licked the paint. A halo half, a scream mark, in a circle whose rightmost quarter is gone. My auto senses magnify and the granules of paint leap at me like stars too close. The beacon howls down 2 decks. We cut a square and drop into it with more weight than the square can argue with. We land. The landing rings the ribs of the ship and a tremor runs through her and away as if a hand stroking down a spine that is made of cities. We are there. We have it. It is small. It is smaller than idea. It blinks a pulse into the room that makes my visor dim because the light is so clean it thinks it is danger. Brother Sergeant kneels. He touches it. He says something quiet and private, and it answers with a change of color. He lifts it. The hull barks. The bark moves faster than thought. The sound turns the world to iron and fast. A Brother Sergeant's kneeling posture takes him off the deck and hurls him left. Sev's flamer makes a bell of fire that stretches and thins under a new wind. I feel my boots take 2 steps without me, then remember where they are. The air goes away. It is the particular going away that has pressure and furious intention and tears the voice out of the vox so it can leave too. I grab. There is iron under my palm and it chips. Brother Sergeant's eye behind glass is very large and I can read the line of stress over his brow ridge and the way the throat plate strains under his jaw. He has the beacon under him, jammed into the crook of his knee and holding it like a child to keep it near the floor that is no longer the floor. His free hand claws, I cannot reach him. Sev somersaults, the flamer snatched off, the hose kissing his neck. And the apothecarian's arm is through a grill and the grill is bending out like a scream and he is very calm until the bones of his fingers start to make a sound. Something long and clever and slick smooth, not ours, is also caught in the wind and it flexes and rolls and uses the pull the way a swimmer uses a tide. It touches Brother Sergeant's face with the delicacy of a mother and makes the glass there into gravel. I see his eyes without lens. He closes them so the air does not take them. His mouth opens to say a name I will never know he gives me and the wind has him. He is a red thing then, and a gold thing and a black thing full of little silver that catches light. And he is the size of the icon in my fist. The deck complains and the shutter stabs down and bites the gap like a bear trap and the world is heavy again, standing on my shoulders. And Sev is screaming because the Prometheum unit has him around the waist and there is a leak, and a spark is trying to court it from somewhere. The apothecarian is 2 men now and both arms end where the grill kissed them last. His helmet knocks the floor and his tongue makes a joke by reflex and does not finish it. Orion is up and firing and there is nothing to aim at. I touch the voice that tells the gun to breathe and it doesn't. The spirit inside the weapon is locked small and wounded. I stroke it with my thumb where the grip has been worn to smooth by hands before mine and it returns. I lay a hail into the thing that is not there because the act is a bridge. Sev moans the name of his tool and I take it away and give him my gun and he laughs because this is what you do when the roles reverse in the old stories. The leak is small. I put my thumb over it and it is enough. The skin there will never forgive me that is in another room. There is a stink of metal and fat. We are 3. No, 4. Orion stands, jaw clenched, blood like syrup matting the seam at his right knee. Sev pants. The apothecarian retches into his own helmet to keep the floor clean and laughs, then stops because laughing makes it hurt. We can leave. I have the beacon. It is light in my hand. It is ache in the arm. It pulses like a patient heart against my glove, and I think if I tap my chest to it, maybe mine will agree to its tempo. We turn not the way we came. The way we came is a mouth clamped down, gagging. We find a service crawl knee-high and make the body that fits into it by act of will. Every plate complains. The quillons of my gorget abrade the ceiling. The ceiling sheds paint onto my tongue, and I swallow dust that tastes of 6 faiths and 8 ordinances and a child's licorice hidden since the last breath of its owner. Rats, no, not those, scurry and pause and look at us and decide they are not yet done with us. Something with too many joints to be any vertebrate fills the tunnel ahead and asks us with its body where we intend to put our feet. I answer with a fist until it is no more than parts thinking about reunion elsewhere. The ship changes in small ways that make big doubts. A corridor that ran east-west now runs north-south along a plane I do not believe in. A door we marked with chalk we hit with fire because the mark is gone, and a smear of something not chalk speaks in curlicues we do not read. We pass under a dome that glitters with flaked glass in the night looking down, and there is no night in ships, not proper. And so my lens shutters make rash decisions and I push them open by force. On our left, a window shows void. On our right, a wall is void. A bow of cable spirals into somewhere my nerves cannot accept and drips red marrow and insulation both. I taste copper that is not taste. Its memory is printed into the mask. I hum the travel hymn we learned as needlebones, and the Old Test litanies run under it, telling my hands when to close and where to set a foot. Orion's feet fall wrong twice, and he corrects before the ship can punish him. Sev trails, slower. His breathing is a bellows with a knife in it. The Prometheum sings to itself, and I do not like the tune. We camp for a minute behind a dropped bulkhead that makes itself into a stub of trench for us by grace of brokenness. And we pull Brother Sergeant's name out of the noise and say it 3 times, and there is no answer. And we put it on the floor between us and look at it, and then we take it into ourselves again, each a bite. The beacon ticks. The tick's slow whenever I stop moving and speed when I do, and I wonder if it can taste my motion or if my heart is talking to it. I wrap my hand tighter. Shapes come. They are humble, belly to the deck. They are tall and graceful, walls. They use the space above us we forgot because up is a weak assumption here. They do not squeal when they lose parts. Their breath dries the sweat under my arms and makes it itch. They do not learn fast enough, and they learn too fast both. And they slip struts into the gaps in my joints and find the hollows under the hinges, and I must move like a machine that knows its own blueprints but is dreaming. I am that thing. For a moment there is peace in it. I do not have to be a man. I am weight and angle and correct placement of steel and the stone bounce of exploded things on the deck. For a breath there is joy in a clean iteration. Then the thing under my boot flexes and gives and tries to fit the outline of my foot from the inside, and the joy cuts and is gone. Sev fails. It looks like a prayer at first. He hunches around the tank and bows. And then the fire finds air and eats it, and it goes hard and flat and fast under the world's breath, and I am lifted and set down, and all the chitin in the room is white as bone under the heat, and then black. And half the lights that were not lit are lit, and then nothing is lit. The smell is salt and things that once were wet, and the helpful stench of oil. Orion shouts something, and it is just sound. I find Sev by his outline on the deck in a new wet that will be dry in minutes. The edge of him shows where fire did not go. His hand on the foregrip of the flamer is still clenched, and the tendon stands proud out of it like rope. I pry, and it is work, and I do it. My gauntlet's finger joints whine. The last knuckle pin holds with the stupid strength of small things that never wanted to move. Then gives. Even the flamer is a dead prayer engine and a memory of heat and a weight. It is good against skulls. I test it. It is very good. I am 2 now. Orion is one, ragged, eyes too wide in the blue wash. The apothecarian speaks his own end in short, angry sighs that knock into the transtemporal jitter in the vox and make jokes out of grief by accident. He does not want the anesthetic. He would like a report filed correctly that mentions his competence. He is offended by how little time he has in which to be angry. I stand while he finishes. I am not his witness. He is his own. It is proper like that. He stops. The ship makes room for him by making nothing where he was. Orion and I move. Our boots drum. The ship considers and lets us. The light is different now. The way it falls has changed to a later hour. When we pause, my body keeps walking in the lens for a second. I accept that we have always been this tired. We find a place where the outside touches in. A view from a gallery down into a tear and then out into lawlessness. I can see a ship lying along another like a lover or a throat cut lip to lip, and in the margin where they pretend to meet there is a space a man could walk. A man or a thing in plates. The beacon wants vertical. It wants me to climb something that is now a wall. Orion is white under the paint. He touches the cable at his belt as if it were a rosary. I look down through the hole to the gnashing black and make a figure in my head of all the ways the lack of air would fill me with needles and make the water in my eyes snap. No point. I jump. Mag clamps hum and kick. I am a nail held to iron by its love for me and what it thinks I might do for it. I go hand by hand, boot by boot. The cable behind me is lifeline and leash. Orion follows because he is not allowed not to in the bones of him. The space is cold like an old cellar. Stars have frosted onto the edge of a buckled window frame that has not yet been allowed to meet the cold properly. I knock one free with the toe of my boot and it skips off toward Ever. A thing comes out of a rent in the steel that was a porthole once and uses the fact that I am stuck to a plane and slowed. It moves like hunger pressed into a form. It hooks the rim of my gorget with a nail and tries to take my head back the way we came. My spine complains. My throat is under the pressure of bad decisions. I butt it. The glass on my face leaves itself on its brow, and it tastes me and its expression becomes worship, and I hate that. I punch until I feel the brain go, and it does not go where brains go usually, but runs somewhere further back among other arms and other mouths. I pull my hand free. Hand is a word I use for something that is a tool that is mine that seems unhappily to have tastes of its own for a moment. It fades. We inch. We do not fall. Once, I do. And the cable snatches my organs and yanks them up into my throat and shakes them. I pray to tame the bile, not for salvation. It works. That is faith. A set of learned reactions that lead to survival applied at the correct moment. The path breaks into an outer lip of hull. There is a flurry of papers without source that cut my cheek and curl away into nothing. Orion makes a sound. It is relief, until it is not. His boot is on a plating edge bent into the shape of a blade, and it does not know he is there until he is. It gives. He slides. The cable knifes out of his belt and drools through his hand, and the friction chews him all the way to the bone of the first finger. He hooks the lip with that finger and it peels like fruit, and then he is less and less, and I should be quicker, but there is a drag. There is always the machine to move through too. And I cannot put my arms through the metal to reach him. Go, he says. It could be a cough. It is not. He knows where we are. He sees the same nothing. He takes his own weight away from the cable so it will not rip me loose, and he falls right. He doesn't kick. He goes like a bead down a string, and then the string runs out. The beacon will not argue with us about our muchness. It wants to be higher yet. I press my chest to the cold and feel faint under the plates in a way I do not make words for. I climb. I find the spire we should have been beneath. It looks like a throat of organ pipe and bone knitted with truss, and it sings when the hull speaks. There is a cradle in it. There is a hook. It is wrong. It is another shape's place. But it is a place. I slide the beacon in and its little heart taps my knuckle through the glove. I kiss it. I do not. My mask taps it for me. The world answers. Light, not complete. A taste of it only. Blue that has been taught to be something else. In the thickness of the world, something far away notices the tone and leans this way. The hull groans. That groan lives in me now. It will live in me until there is no me to hold it, and then it will settle in the suit and wait. I do not have words to welcome that. I am busy. Something rises under my feet. The plate tries to take me into its mouth, and the magnet loves me too much for that. I beat at it, and it lets me go because I break the lip of the mouth, and it changes its mind about wanting me. I keep my eyes on a point beyond me because if I look at the busy edges at the rim of my view that keep making shapes and unmaking them, I will be sick in my own mask, and that will make me slow. The ship turns. I do not. In the distance, a shape grows that is not ship. It is tidy. It is silence-shaped and full of known intent. I would weep if the ducks allowed it. The hook comes. It is rude and simple and unbelieving. It repeats its motion until the world bows to it, and then it bites. The recoil rattles my jaw into my brain. I clip wrong the first time and the second, and then right. I am dragged, and the space between me and the ship goes long and thin. I am an umbilicus, not a sun. The ship recedes slow as penance. The cable tenses and sings like a string. I can hear it through the heel of my hand. It is an ugly music and very beautiful. On impact, breath is a myth. Masks bang steel. The deck moves under me in little happy jitters. Hands clatter on plates. They are careful hands. They are too many. The smell of oil and incense wraps my head. Someone is saying something about count and number and the word alive, and I am not keeping up. Belts are cut. The flamer is taken from my hand with respect I do not deserve, and I am glad for them to steal its weight. I do not let the beacon go. A gauntlet taps it like a bird on glass, twice. Then someone laughs because he did not expect it to be small, or because it is small, and it changed the shape of his day. I have this much charity left to decide which. My greaves are sandpapered by a deck that is mottled with paint and burn and new polish. I taste whatever solvent they use now and tuck that taste away where I keep the sound of Orion falling. They speak a name at me and I recognize it, but it is heavy like mail and it hurts to lift. I answer with a nod that travels from shoulder to toe like a ripple. The Medici ghost hovers with a syringe too human, and I flinch and then assent. The needle finds a place between plates and the burn runs up into the parched field that is my shoulder. Relief loosens the machine in me briefly. That is dangerous. The machine has kept me upright and honest. Something picks at the edge of my glove, and the icon on its cord is stuck there, melted in. I work my thumbnail under it and lift. The image imprinted is a face with no eyes, or the eyes have run. The cord is fast to the seam. I could tear it loose. I leave it. My gauntlet is out in front of me, palm up. Cold air from the bay intake brushes the line where the hazard paint flakes cling to it, yellow turned to dust that refuses to let go. I flex and the dust does not move. I keep my hand there until the fingers tremble with the weight of nothing, and only then do I close it.